So hi, welcome everyone to this fifth lecture of Internet of Things. Here in this lecture we are going to discuss on the industrial Internet of Things. So before proceeding, actually let me introduce you to myself. I am Rahul Dikshit, Assistant Professor in Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. So a very warm welcome once again. Let us now discuss about this particular lecture series. So what we have learned so far, so we have discussed about the concept of IoT in this first lecture, then we have discussed a bit about the sensors and the IoT layers in the subsequent lectures, then in the last lecture we have covered the smart city concept. So now in this lecture, in this particular lecture, we are going to discuss about the implementation of what we have learned so far, that means the IoT, to the industrial environment or the industrial sector. Rather, it is better to call this as an implementation of IoT from the IT world to the industrial automation sector. So let us now proceed and let us see the table of contents of this particular lecture, what we are going to discuss in this particular lecture series. Let us now see the table of content. So what we have learned so far is IoT, which is more relevant to the IT field and to the embedded system field. While in this particular lecture we are going to discuss about industrial Internet of Things, that means IIoT. So in the very first part we will be seeing the concept of IIoT, how this IoT Internet of Things is being implemented into industrial sector. In the second part we will be going to see the industrial automation and its elements. Why we are going to discuss industrial automation and elements? Because most of the IoTs, they are basically implemented to the industrial environment, and most of the industrial environment, they are basically, or most of the industries, they are basically mounted onto the automation technology equipments. So as to understand the work of an industry, we need to actually understand how this industrial automation sector works and what are the various elements which are being involved into automizing an industry. So in the very second part we will be discussing a bit on the industrial automation and the related components or the elements. In the third part we are going to see the industrial control architecture. What is the control architecture which is being adopted into the Indian industries or into the industries basically. So in the third part we are going to discuss those control architecture. However, in the fourth part we will be going to see the implementation of IoT to the industrial domain, how this IoT is being shifted from this IT domain to the OT technology domain. OT here means operational technology domain. So we will be seeing a few of the implementation strategies which we are going to basically implement so as to start the application of IoT or so as to embed the application of IoT into the industrial field. We will sum up the presentation with few of the benefits and the future scope of this IoT into the industrial environment. So let us move further. So what is basically IoT? What we have learned in the first lecture basically. See, the Internet of Things is nothing but a interconnected or interrelated systems where every device is basically assigned with the, I would say, a kind of identifier or a kind of tag. Not only the system, but maybe a machine, an animal, a human body or any object. They all are basically provided with a unique identifier and an ability to transfer data over a network without actually require a human to human interface. This is what IoT is. When we don't require a human to human interface or human to computer interface, even then we are basically able to transfer our data from one end to another end. So in the layman terms, if we define IoT, then IoT is something which means connecting all of our systems, all of our machines, even the human bodies, even the animals, and each and everything on this planet with the ability to transfer the data over the internet and to save that particular data onto a system such as cloud system or somewhere else, and then accessing those data from anywhere else in the entire earth. So that is IoT, connecting the each and everything, transferring the data to a central storage system and then basically accessing those things from the central storage from anywhere else in the entire vicinity. But what is IIoT? See, the industrial Internet of Things basically connects the critical machines, the sensors, the, I would say, high stake industries such as aerospace, such as defense, healthcare, maybe power and energy sector. So all these machines, all these I would say high stake industries, they are basically doing a very important job in the industrial environment. So connecting all those machines is a very complex and the complicated task. So these are the systems where failure often results in life threatening, or I would say the emergent situations. So what we have to do is we have to basically implement the concept of IoT into the industrial environment. So how do industries basically run? So most of the industries nowadays, they basically run on the automation. So before proceeding further, what we need to do is we need to basically understand what is automation, what are the basic elements of automation system, how they basically work, and then only we will be able to implement this concept of IoT to the industrial sector. Fine. So let us now move further to our next presentation, and let us see how we are going to implement it. So you have been provided with a particular set of picture onto your screen. So this screen is visible. There we are doing some kind of manual capping operation. So this is a manual operation which we all can recognize. So if we see another picture here, in this particular picture, things are done automatically. People, they are basically situated at one or two places only, while the entire machinery is running on its own basically. So from these two pictures, we can easily sum up what is automation. So automation in my terms is basically the integration of machines into a self-governing system, where we can replace, or by which we can replace, the human labor within the machine power in some of the forms basically. Or in the layman terms, we can basically define automation as the techniques or the technology basically which makes use of less human efforts and will give us the kind of automatic operations in return. So this is what automation is. See, this doesn't evolve all of a sudden. This automation process doesn't evolve all of a sudden basically. So what happens is there will be an evolution process. The entire evolution process is basically defined, or is basically bifurcated into four different terms, or I would say four different revolutions. So the evolution is basically nothing but a combination of four industrial revolutions. Whatever or everything which we are seeing together in this particular day or in this particular year is something which has evolved from its earlier form. So what was the earlier form? We need to discuss it first. See, the first industrial revolution was occurred at the end of 18th century. In this particular environment or in this particular time, what we are having is, we are only having the mechanical power. We are having the steam engines. So whatever power we are extracting for doing the work in the industry, we are extracting this power from basically the steam engines. So in this particular era, we are only having the steam engines. The electrical systems like electrical motors and other electrical assemblies, they weren't actually evolved, or they weren't actually invented into this particular era. So at the end of the 19th century and even in the mid of the 19th century, we got our second industrial revolution. That means the second era of industrial revolution, where something major or some major changes basically occurred. So in this second industrial revolution, what happened is, we have been able to invent the electrical motors. That means the electrical energy is being utilized in doing the work instead of using the steam engines or the steam derived power. So in this era, the electrical energy based relay systems, the assembly lines, even all of these things, they have contributed towards the mass production. So what is mass production? Mass production means something which is produced in the masses. Like, let us consider a conveyor system or a production line where we are manufacturing, say suppose the Coca-Cola. So what we are getting from that particular production line is only the Coke bottles. We are not going to have the variety of bottles from the same manufacturing line. That means a manufacturing line which is producing a Coke variant will not produce a variant like Fanta or any other particular variety. So this is known as mass production. We can't have the variety, but we can have the maximum number of output from the particular system. So all these systems, they basically produce the things which are into the masses. That means we are producing the quantities actually, but we are not basically having the varieties into it. So in the third industrial revolution, what we got is, we got the variable speed drives. There is a term known as variable speed drives. See, what is variable speed drive? See, in case of electrical motors, the motors, they are basically fixed speed motors. So whatever we have here is a fixed speed system. See, here in this system, whatever motor or whatever system which is giving us the driving force is basically fixed with the set of speed. We cannot vary the speed. But in the third industrial revolution, we got the ability to vary the speed, and this variation in speed is only possible due to the invent of modern power electronics technology. So that's why we are able to get this system known as variable speed drive system or a servo system. So in the third revolution, the servo systems and this VFD or variable speed drive systems they basically helped us to invent the things like industrial robotics, the logic controllers and the digital controllers. So the digital electronics or the power electronics, this basically makes this thing possible to get the variable speed systems, and through these variable speed system we are basically being able to get the industrial robots and the modern day controllers actually. While in the last industrial revolution, we basically connect all those previously evolved system to the internet. So whatever we have, like a man, a machine, maybe an older machine, maybe a kind of data gathering system, maybe a instrument, a sensor or a desktop PC. Whatever we are having, we have to connect all those systems to the internet. So in the last era, in the fourth industrial revolution, what we have as a prominent factor is internet. So everything whatever we have to connect it with the internet, and then through some AI, through some cloud computing or some kind of wireless telemetry systems, we are basically accessing all those data, we are storing those data to a internet or to a cloud system, and then from any other location we are accessing those stored data through some kind of wireless telemetry technology. So this is what is the era of IoT. So right now we are living in this particular era which is known as the era of IoT. You must have heard about this buzzword IoT. So this IoT is basically the present industrial era, which refers to the industrial internet of things, and this is only made possible with the help of the internet facilities and with the gigabytes of speed over these internet channels. So these are the four industrial revolutions that we have. So let us now see the basic elements that are actually inside a industrial environment. So what we have as a basic unit, see before actually seeing the basic units and the different types of industrial environment, we need to understand the basic elements of the industrial environment system. To be precise enough, let us divide these three systems into three different parts. So I am basically making a block diagram here. In the first block diagram, I am going to write input technology. In the second diagram, I am going to write control. In the third part, I am going to write actuation technology. See, these are the three technologies that we have in the industrial automation sector. This input technology refers to some kind of input devices that are basically known as the sensors. So these sensors, they have a primary function of converting the physical quantities into the corresponding electrical quantities. So once you will convert your physical quantity into corresponding electrical quantity, that particular set of quantity, and not only electrical but actually in the form of any other understandable form which could be easily understood by the second level of automation system. So it could be the electrical voltage based system, it could be the current based conversion, it could be the optical conversion or any other kind of conversion. So if you are going to convert the physical quantity like pressure, like temperature into these corresponding quantities which could be easily understood by the second control system, then it will feed that converted input with the user programs and it will formulate an output. So that output is basically fed to a kind of actuation system, the third part. So the actuation system basically is a system or is a final control element that actually implements the task. So as to understand this process properly, let us assume that you have your own industry, and in this particular industry there is a variable known as temperature which you have to control. So under unautomated process, what you will do is you will place a human operator there, you will give him a kind of measuring device which could be a thermometer. So what he will do is he will basically monitors the temperature, and you have to provide a upper bound limit. That means the temperature should not go above a particular value, say suppose 24 degrees centigrade. So what that operator will do, he will continuously monitor the temperature value with the given quantity, that means 27 degrees centigrade, and whenever it goes above 27, what it will does is it will perform a remedial action or a kind of control action, and that control action that you have to tell him what he has to perform. So what he will do is he will switch on some AC, fan or ventilation system. So this is what the actuation system is. So let us now try to automate the entire example. So in place of thermometer, we will use some kind of sensor. So we have the sort of industrial sensors here. So all those industrial sensors, they basically perform a single job. That means they convert a physical quantity like temperature, pressure, flow or any other parameter to the corresponding quantities, which could be easily understood by the control system. So now what the control system will perform? So in place of control system, in our example there was human brain. So we have to replace those human brain or that particular human brain with a sort of industrial controller. So what we'll do is we'll use either a PC, a programmable logic controller or any other kind of industrial controller. It could be an embedded controller also. So we'll use that controller, we'll convert the input command to a kind of output command based on the user instruction. So in this particular field, we have to give a particular set of program also. This is a user defined program. This has to be given to a control system. So this control system will convert the input to the output based on the user program. And what is the role of this output? This role of this output is to actually implement the task, which is basically done by the human hands in our example. In this particular example, what the human operator is basically performing, he is either switching on a ventilation fan or kind of AC unit. So what we have to do is we have to implement the controller output. So we need something which actually actuates and actually performs the task. So there are different actuation technologies. We'll see them in brief actually. Let us move further. See, as I said, we have different types of sensors, and we have learned this also in our previous lecture. We have certain optical sensors which basically works on the optic systems or the ray of light. We have pressure sensors, those sensors basically sense the pressure. We have the flow sensors, they give us the value of the flow or the volume of fluid which is basically flowing inside a pipe. Then we have certain level sensors, they are basically kind of ultrasonic sensors, they give us the presence or give us the basic level of say a fluid into a particular tank or into a particular vessel. Then we have different types of temperature sensors, and finally we have the some various other types of industrial sensors. So all those sensors sum up and will basically provide an input to the control system. Now if you talk about a control system, so broadly classifying the control system, they are broadly classified into two parts. One is embedded, one is the industrial controller. See, embedded is something which you found in consumer electronics like your iPods, like your MP3 players, your digital cameras. So all those systems, they are basically based on embedded controllers where there is no need to reprogram them again and again. And even in those type of systems, the functionality of that hardware is limited. You cannot basically convert your washing machine into a microwave oven just because this capability is basically limited due to the custom hardware. Same is with the embedded controllers. You can reprogram them again and again, but you cannot change the functionality of the hardware. So in the industrial controllers, what we have the flexibility to reprogram them again and again and to perform various different kinds of tasks depending upon our day-to-day challenge basically. So in the industrial controllers, we have different types, two different types. One is known as single loop and one is known as multi-loop controllers. So under the multi-loop controllers, these are the basic modern day industrial controllers that we are basically using. One is PLC. So we are more concerned towards the PLC sort of systems in the basic lectures. So in this PLC stands for programmable logic controllers, and these are the modern day controllers that are being used basically into the industries. These are the sort of industrial controllers that we are using nowadays. So they are basically known as the PLC. PLC is the modern day industrial controller. It's a rugged controller basically. What PLC basically has inside, it basically has a previously developed relay, a solid state relay, along with the, this is the relay, along with the intelligent controller, and that is a microcontroller or microprocessor system. So PLC, this is nothing but a kind of microcontroller or microprocessor which is enclosed in a robust packing, and that packing should be a robust packing. That means there should not be any environmental effect onto that particular set of semiconductor device. Semiconductor technologies, they are quite prone to the dusty, hazy and humid environment. So we have to basically encapsulate the semiconductor based controller into a robust packing. So something which basically has a microcontroller or microprocessor enclosed in a robust packing is known as a PLC. So the first PLC, it got invented in 1960s, and this is one of the most rugged controller that we found in the industrial environment. So let us now see in this particular picture how these automation systems are getting implemented at different levels into the automation industry. So at the basic level or the field level, what we have sensors. The sensors and the actuators, they form the field level of an industrial environment basically, where we will deploy some sensors and some actuators, while the second layer basically comprises of the controllers, that means the PLCs, PCs and other sort of electrical based or electronic based control system. So the control systems basically they sit above the actuator and the sensor part, just because they pass on the signal to the sensors and the actuators. So the input is being provided by the sensors to the PLCs or the control systems, then they finally give them back the control signal or the control command, or say suppose the output signal. While there is a supervisory control and data acquisition system which sits above the PLC or the control system. The role of this supervisory control and data acquisition system is to acquire the crucial amount of data that is being generated throughout the process, throughout the industrial process. So whatever data is being generated throughout the industrial process has to be stored somewhere, it has to be supervisory controlled also. So all of this data has to be controlled, and that control is basically governed by using a software system known as the SCADA. So this is nothing but a kind of soft controller or a embedded solution. So as to communicate between this point to this point, we need basically some sort of communication channel or some kind of, I would say, the wire or a kind of telemetry system. So there is a role of protocol or there is a role of communication channel actually. This we will discuss in our next slide. Above SCADA, in most of the companies there sits a again system which is known as MES, and above MES basically known as the manufacturing execution services, and above this MES there sits an software known as ERP. So the role of ERP and MES is basically related to asset management solution, some kind of intelligent alarm handling systems. They are basically terminal automation solutions which basically has some kind of simulation and modeling tool embedded into it. Fine. So most of the industrial environment, they are made up of the sensors, the controllers, the SCADA network, the MES and the ERP solutions. Fine. So let us now try to change this automation pyramid into IoT pyramid. So what we will do is, we will divide the entire automation pyramid into two different sector. The one sector we are calling it as IT domain, while the other is known as the operation technology domain. So OT stands for operational technology, IT stands for your information technology domain. So whatever data we are gathering, whatever data we are playing with comes under IT domain, where we have a common communication channel known as Ethernet, the common internet which we are using in our day-to-day life. But while we are operating in between OT, operational technology domain, there we have a special version of Ethernet known as the field net systems, or a generic name is there which is known as protocol, or we can say in simple words the industrial internet. So under OT domain, whatever we have on industrial Ethernet. So data is moving on an industrial Ethernet channel. while on IT domain the entire data is moving on Ethernet channel. So, there is a difference between Ethernet channel and the industrial Ethernet channel. Industrial Ethernet channel, they are basically owned by some of the major companies or some of the vendors actually. So, once you want to use those Ethernet channels or the industrial Ethernet channels, you have to pay to those companies, while the Ethernet, like Ethernet TCP/IP, it is an open source protocol. You need not to pay anything to anyone. You just have to buy a Ethernet service from a service provider, which may be in GBPS or MBPS, and you have to use it for your own industry based solution. So, we need to convert basically that automation pyramid which we have seen in the last figure to this IoT pyramid. So, here we have divided this into OT and IT domains basically. Let us now see how this is actually implemented in the field. See, in this particular figure what we have the field level. So, let us proceed further. In this particular slide you can see easily we have a field level. So, under field level what we have our actuators here, we have few sensors here like here and here. All those sensors and all those actuators, they are basically getting command from a control system like PLC system. So, this is a PLC system which is basically obtaining certain inputs from the sensors, and they are actually providing certain outputs to the output systems. Fine. While there we have a device which is known as the gateway. This is the switching channel basically. See, whatever data is flowing from this point to this particular point is flowing over the industrial Ethernet channel. Fine. A channel for which you have to pay, and there are different channels. You have to basically integrate all those channels, or you have to basically use some kind of switching devices to basically connect one type of industrial Ethernet service to another type of industrial Ethernet service. Fine. So, whatever data is moving from this particular end up to this particular end, that means from the field level to the control level, is flowing over this industrial Ethernet channel. But what we want is, we want data to flow over the Ethernet channel. That is why we use a device known as edge gateway or an edge device in simple terms. So, this edge device is basically responsible to convert this data over industrial Ethernet to data over the Ethernet channel. So, whatever data we have available here is available on industrial Ethernet, and we can easily store that data which is available on industrial Ethernet to a cloud system using some routers, industrial routers, and those data which are basically available onto the cloud, we can access it from anywhere. That is why we have shown a network cloud also. Fine. Even there are two control strategies. First strategy is to use the intelligent sensors. So, what are the intelligent sensors? These are the intelligent sensors basically. A sensor which has the Wi-Fi capability. So, there is no need of these wired channels actually. There is no need of these sort of wired channels. What we have to do is, we have to deploy some intelligent sensors into it, and those intelligent sensors, what they will do is, they will transmit the data directly to this enterprise level by skipping this control level. So, what they will do is, they will bypass this control level, and what they will do is, they will pass on the signal to this enterprise level. But there might be a possibility that your computer systems, your control systems, they basically miss some of the important data that is being flowing from this end to this end. So, in this particular situation, your PLCs or PACs or whatever industrial controller you are utilizing, they are not aware of that emergent situation or that emergency kind of situation which is being evolved here in this kind of field network. So, if some emergency is there in field network, just because you are using wireless sensors and you are bypassing this control layer, so control system is not aware of whatever is happening inside it. So, this is one control strategy where we will use some kind of wireless sensor and transmit data directly to the enterprise level. The second control strategy would be to use a kind of system where we have to basically transmit data from one end to another end by basically following the proper sequence. So, the sequence would be like this. First, the data has to flow from this network to the control layer, that means from field layer to control layer, and then from control layer it has to flow to the enterprise layer, and in between, just because control layer data is basically on industrial Ethernet, so we need a conversion somewhere here. That means we need an edge gateway or an edge device which basically converts the data which is present onto the industrial Ethernet to the Ethernet system somewhere here. So, now whatever we have here, we have to convert it, and in this particular type of control strategy we have everything. We are basically giving data or moving data from field to the control and from control to the enterprise level. We are not skipping any of the intermediate layer. So, this type of control strategy is the best suited control strategy so as to implement the movement of data or to implement the IoT concept to the industrial environment. So, what we have done so far is we have basically doing this sort of systems. We are basically developing this sort of system. So, what is this system is? This system basically has some of the previously installed normal sensors and few of the smart sensors. We have deployed these sensors, then we have used an edge gateway here. So, what is the role of edge gateway? This is used to convert the industrial Ethernet to Ethernet TCP IP, which is available to the common masses basically. So, the sensor, actuator and the device level data through this gateway is being converted to the data that is made available to wide area network. Fine. If we have a data over the wide area network, what we have to do is we have to use some kind of suitable cloud technology, maybe the Amazon Web Services or some other kind of web services, and we can store all those data which is available in the wide area network to a kind of cloud system. And finally, what we have to do is we have to basically make a UI, user interface. Through user interface, you can actually perform user analytics and some other kinds of analytic systems you can deploy over there. So, the user analytics is a different part, the cloud is a different part, the edge device is a different part, and the role of edge device is to convert basically the data which is available on the industrial Ethernet channel to the normal Ethernet channel, which we usually call as Ethernet TCP IP channel, which is basically a wide area type network. So, once we have the data available over wide area network, we can easily gather that data, we can store it to a cloud, we can process it using some user interface, and in case say suppose user wants to transmit us back something, what he has to do is he has to basically move back from this particular end to this particular end. Even this kind of system is possible onto an IIoT based system. So, this is the exact process flow of an IIoT based system. See, and in the last part, let us try to summarize what we have learned in the entire lecture series with the benefits and future scope. See, there are a lot of benefits of using IoT and IIoT. See, IoT enables the enterprise basically to have more and better access to the data which is related to their products, to their services and to the internal systems. Moreover, apart from this, we can apply the data science, the machine learning concept to analyze this large amount of data to draw insight about the products, the services and the associated systems. Apart from this, the data which we have gathered from the components and the machinery tells us about its present condition and the predictiveness in the future for the future outcomes basically. And apart from all these, with the real-time data collection type services and analysis, we can take corrective actions at the right time to minimize the downtime and to maximize the runtime of the system basically. Talking about the future scope, the future of IoT is virtually unlimited. See, because due to the advances in the technologies and even the consumer desire to integrate our own devices, our smartphones, such as our smartphones or maybe the household machines, even the industrial machines. So, the future is almost unlimited. Even the networking and connectivity protocols, they have made it possible to basically connect people, machinery all on a single platform. And also there is so much of data traveling from devices to devices. and we basically need to gather all these data to analyze and to basically implement this data for our own easiness, for our own betterment. And from an individual perspective, if you want to see the career opportunities, then IoT offers excellent career opportunities which need to be harnessed actually. However, it requires you basically to have necessary skills, which is going on to be the key differentiator between you and the others. So whatever you want to do in the field of IoT, you just have to implement the basic concepts first into the practical environment, and then you have to learn more onto the IoT systems and the data collection and data analytics sides. So that's all from this lecture, and thank you very much for attending this lecture.